Thanks for joining, Bernadette.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm hoping a few will join, but we'll certainly be recording this as well.
Yeah, I know one person in my group cannot make it today because they are working. I believe it was so but I'm not sure about the two others. We'll see.
Yeah, okay. Just trying to capture the questions. How are you doing with the class so far?
Doing okay. I'm like trying to balance school and real life right now. So
yeah, sorry, that was recorded. Is that okay?
oh yeah.
Okay. All right. I just realized.
I don't mind announcing it to the entire world.
I know, I'm sorry.
Don't
But
worry.
you know what? I feel like especially a summer course, you know, if when people are working, it's tough. It is really tough. And life.
There's a lot going on in my personal life as well. So like you got to balance that. And you know, it's all about balance. Too much of anything is not good.
Yeah, no, it's true. So hopefully I've tried really hard to space the assignments to kind of help alleviate some of that stress. But
yeah, for sure. I'm personally having problems just like where am I going with the direction for the final project is all.
Yeah, but that's okay because we've got time on that, right?
Yeah.
And I think I'm trying to remember, which group are you in?
I'm in the group with Sarah, Manav, and what was this? I can't pronounce his name.
Okay,
Start with A.
but I thought you guys have a really good focus.
Yeah, like quite a few of us have, you know, like I'm fourth year right now, and quite a few of us have have been studying in this field for a while now, so it's not new to us. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
we're
I
lucky
think your project it will be very useful. And yeah, no. So anyways, you guys can always reach out to meet with me, you know, separate as well. So hello. So I hope it's okay. We're recording. We should still have quite a few others join, but because the class is scheduled in the middle of your night, some are working in other classes, so they're going to have to listen to this afterwards. I hope that's okay. And let me just confirm how to present your name or how to pronounce your name. Oh, you're muted. Just one sec.
Okay, it's Ekene.
Ekene. Okay. Ekene.
Yeah, it's a tonal language, unlike English that is stress. So,
yeah. Okay. Ekene. And
yes.
yeah, no, I did attend a meeting with Robinson and the team. I don't believe you were there though. We were at where were we at? Alchemist.
Oh no, it's happening in Nairobi, and that was like 2 weeks ago. So.
Oh, actually, it was in February or March. I was there.
Oh, okay. No, I was not. I met Robin beginning of April. That's when ArtStorm, came into the picture. Okay. And that's when we started conversing.
Okay. And is it okay if I send you a small honorarium via World Remit? Is that all right?
Oh, sure. That's all right.
Okay. 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 So we are, you're entering twice, it seems.
So, yeah. So My laptop, I intend to present through the laptop, so I turned off the network,
Okay,
uh, uh, the audio and video from here. So what I'm going to be doing, uh, I'll be sharing my screen from the laptop.
okay, perfect. I
Hope
know.
that's all right.
Yeah, of course, all the workarounds that have to be done are challenging. And we so appreciate your time at the end of your day, or maybe your day's just beginning. I don't know.
It's evening here. It's 5 p.m.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, but I
that's.
mean, some people work at night.
Oh, I prefer to work during the day. So
Okay,
majorly because of the load of work and the organizations I work with, I try to accommodate all of that during the day so I could get a good night's sleep.
yeah,
In the
but you're
evenings.
based in Nairobi?
No, I am based in Nigeria, actually.
Oh, you're based in Nigeria. Okay, all right, now I understand. Okay, that makes sense. All right,
Yeah.
so welcome to our session, non-regular class time on a Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And session is being recorded. Ekene has seen many of your questions, as you know, and I apologize in advance. I'm dog sitting, as you saw last night in class, so he can be a little naughty sometimes. So we are really excited for this session and looking forward to learning from an expert, Ekene, and learning more, sorry, about Afro futures. I'm just getting a dog treat. This is a fourth year class in sustainable development. The students that are involved in this class are very knowledgeable, passionate about sustainable development, and providing research background to hopefully assist Robinson and his team. And so it's with a great honor that I welcome you, Ekene, for taking your time this morning or this evening, and really look forward to what you have to share with us. Welcome.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for coming on. When this request came, first thing on my mind was, oh, I'm going to be talking to you about the basics of NFT. And then when your questions came, and I'm like, wow, okay, your questions do not sound like beginners, but yeah, I will try to accommodate the questions you're asked and also lay the basis, because in trying to understand or answer the questions, I realized that some of the questions you're asking are some things that if you had the basics, you wouldn't be asking. So I hope that's okay. We'll do a quick from here down. So we'll do a top-down approach, or rather, yeah. So from your questions, we'll go all the way down. Now, first of all, is understanding NFT. So big question that has been, and people come to use the term all the time, is NFTs. Question is, what exactly is NFTs? Okay, before I get to that, let me talk a bit about me. My name is Ekene, and I'm the programs and operations team lead for Afrofuture DAO. Let me explain. Afrofuture DAO is a community-owned launchpad for Africa's historical and cultural assets. So what we do is we take cultural aspects, we take historical aspects, with which we are doing by launching them into the Ethereum blockchain as a way to preserve the culture, as a way to tell African history. And we are collaborating with the biggest African photojournalist of all times, Mohamed Amin. So he has this amazing vault somewhere in Nairobi, and he documented a lot of African pictures and stories. And if we just leave it there in the vault, it may not make sense. So we need to be able to move with time. And Afrofuture is about the future of Africa, where Africa is projecting. This is tech. So tech is moving from Web 2 to Web 3. What we can do is to launch these cultural assets into Web 3 as a way to preserve them, but also as a way to tell the story and help people understand African stories. So we are a community DAO. What that means is decentralized autonomous organizations, as against what you have in the physical space or in the Web2, where everyone is working in a very centralized system. In Web3, the idea is we all are operating at the same level. There is no like hierarchy. Is decentralized, is distributed, different systems handling different transactions, all interconnected and evenly distributed across board. So the decentralization is the organization do not recognize you are chief boss and you are the least. When it comes to the organization DAOs, everyone participates in making decisions. So far you own what we call a social token of the organization, which gives you governance power. We get to that in a moment. Yeah, you get to participate. So our deal is that we are working to fully unlock Africa's history and creative industries in Web3. So we look around and we see emerging artists in Web2. We see artists who are excited about Web3, but they do not know where to begin. They have an idea. So we put out a call, we bring them in, then we launch them into Web3. Like we provide them with the tools and the resources they need. Many of them do not have Ethereum. They do not understand how the blockchain even works. But because we want to be able to help them tell better stories. And if you also remember, one of the things that Web3 is taking out its boundaries. And that's why we can have trustless contracts where I don't know you, but what you say I will believe, because we have these wallets, soft wallets, hard wallets that keep our money. And that is what ensures that there's trust in the community. So Afrofuture as a launch pad, what we're doing is that we're helping African artists and enthusiasts. Bear in mind, when I keep using the word artists, I'm not just talking about painters. I'm talking about musicians. I'm talking about literature, poets. I'm talking about fashion NFTs, people who are making fashion wearables. They all come together under the term artists. So we are helping them transition from Web2 into Web3. And we do this through all our inclusive onboarding programs. Part of the very characteristics of Web3 is the onboarding platform. If we are, for instance, when people come into the university, they have the orientation program. So you help them understand what is and what is not. So that's what onboarding works like in Web3. So we show them around, and the Afrofuture social token. Remember when I talked about anyone can participate and make a decision. So far they have a token. That social token, when you hold the social token, for instance, for Afrofuture, you could vote on proposals. You could contribute your voice and decide which of the programs you want us to go forward with, which of them do you not want us, how do we handle this particular project, and how do we not handle this other project? Now, apart from that, they also get to take advantage of everything that is happening around, like advantage of our tools and resources to tell better African story. Now, when I say advantage, if you also understand sustainable development, you understand that it's hinged on partnership a lot. So there's a lot of partnership deals cut across everything. Same also it is in Web3. So most people are leveraging on the partnership that they made within the community, because no DAO can provide 100% solution for everyone, right? But what you don't have, other DAO could have worked on. So you could simply deploy that which they have done and tweak it a bit to suit your objective, and then you run with it. Too technical? Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, so right. maybe just stop there. Does anyone have, is that clear to everyone, kind of what Ekene is leading? More or less? Oh, there is one question Bernadette has. Go ahead, Bernadette.
So basically saying that it's not limited to like how I'm best trying to associate is like how like different majors I've been previously in. Like I wanted to go into fine arts, but I ended up in liberal arts. So fine arts was like, you know, like the painting, the like mural making, the carving, all like that, or like digital media, that kind of thing. Whereas liberal arts is more like poetry, writing, creative writing, social justice, literature, history, research. So is this project basically looking at more like the liberal arts or like the fine arts, or just encompassing both?
It's encompassing. So we have liberal arts, we have also fine arts. In the last cohort of artists we commissioned, we have this lady, she's speaking to authority, social justice using spoken words. And her words were just so powerful. The day it dropped, it sold off right there at the drop. We were just still coming on, and just like that, you know, people bought it right off. So yeah, we'll have people who come on like that, and we also have, you know, people who are coming out fine arts pieces made on canvas.
That's great.
Okay, thank you. And so please proceed with your presentation, because I feel like we will have a lot of questions and how this intersects with ArtStorm. But Scott, do you have a question that makes sense right now?
Yeah, it's just a quick one about the social tokens. I was just curious how do you come to acquire them? And then my understanding is your voting power is proportional to your holding of the tokens. Is that correct? Or is it just one per? Or is it you can have multiple tokens and you get multiple?
Okay, so because the idea of the Web3 is that everyone gets equal power, right? For us at Afrofuture, the minimum token you could get so that you could participate is 1,000 token. So once you have 1,000 token, you could always vote on proposals. You could always get to vote. Now, there are some days we have token gated websites. Because you have tokens, you could use these tokens to pay for the website, so to say, and then it opens for you. Now, the trick is for us, when we commission artists, we give them up to 40,000, up to 400,000 Afrofuture tokens. And then when a community member is onboarded, we'll get to that. We're working on a reward system that could help people, you know, impact hours, sweat equity. So you get stock options if it is in a physical world. These will come in form of social tokens, and you could use these social tokens to vote on governance and proposals and contribute to the community. Hope that answers the question. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So as part of my job, I'm developing, I use the word developing because it's a continuous process. So what we have, we keep getting from others to tweak it, to deploy to the stages where it would work. I'm developing and designing a governance process for what is known to be the first African community DAO. So it's decentralized, we've established that. And then it's a launch pad. So in this case where you asked about art, so you have history, African art, African history, you have cultural assets, and every other thing anyone is bringing on. And this gets to be launched into Web3 using the power of NFT and social token. Now, you also made mention about your last question, the governance. Now, part of our community activations, when we have, for instance, commissioned artists, and what we are doing currently with ArtStorm, we'll get to that in a moment, it's about activation, community activation, awareness. Where there's a planning, and then they will have the AMAs, ask me anything. So during the AMAs, people come up on board to ask things they want to know about the community, about the projects the community is involved in, and how they can as well get to benefit from the community. Remember, partnership and community building forms part of the core being of Web3. So at the present, we are conceiving and hopefully to deploy a very sustainable reward system to bridge between Web3 and African culture. Just talked about it now. So that way people get impact equity, they get sweat equity, as it would have been stock options, but in this case, they are getting them at Afrofuture tokens. So Afrofuture tokens is built on social tokens. It's a social token coming from one of our partners, first major partner, which is social culture. So the idea is that we're helping them or what we're deploying the tokens they developed into Afrofuture, and we're using that to reward the community and run the community model, if that makes sense. Now, currently at Afrofuture, we've commissioned 14 NFT artists. These artists cuts across all genres of art, liberal, painting, all of that. And we've done this in 3 quarters and currently have over 8 partnerships and collaborations, among which is ArtStorm. So I'm going to talk a bit about ArtStorm and how we are curating what's going on at ArtStorm. Then that would also lay basis for many of the questions you asked. So far, we're together on the same page, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we're
Yes.
awesome. So what do you know about ArtStorm? The thing is, when the idea of ArtStorm came, it was initially Eat Safari proposed projects, and they wanted Afrofuture to come on board to mentor and run the artist aspect of, art now creation, and mentoring the artists. But as the community grew and as conversations around it keep expanding, it became a project owned by 4 persons. That's where you have the PSN coming, Public Space Network. You have Eat Safari, you have Afrofuture, and then you also have Art Africa. So it's a collaborative project. And part of the things I'm very proud of when it comes to Web3 is collaborative and partnership. So there's a lot of collaborative economies, and there's a lot of, you have A, give me B, we partner and we deliver. And it's so seamless that everyone understands what is expected of them. So for ArtStorm, it's a collaborative project. And the idea is that we're seeking to leverage the power of Ethereum blockchain and to reach the reach that we have and to support people and promote the creation of green spaces in urban areas in Africa. So think of it this way. People would always argue that what happens on the blockchain, it's a virtual thing. It never leaves the virtual space, right? So it's about take A to take B, and nobody gets to benefit that in the physical space. Well, this ArtStorm project, it's a project proving that that is wrong. Because look at it from this perspective. The event would simply create a where everyone who is involved in that project get to be part of it. So what we are giving out is simple. Creation of art in green spaces. There are spaces that are abandoned, spaces people don't often would go to or have conversations because it looks dirty and all of that. So ArtStorm is proposing people paint murals on these spaces, make them very inclusive, make them very habitable, and create a very amazing spaces around using art pieces. And then these pieces we could photograph and then mint them on the blockchain and sell them. And some of the proceeds from these pieces would use to come back to maintain that community and maintain the spaces. Does it make sense? Trying to break down the grammar I spoke there. So it's about using the NFTs on the blockchain, which we would sell. And then the proceeds from there are what we could use to come back to maintain these spaces that were maintained and built by in the physical space. So it's simply saying we walk into a place people don't normally would sit or hang out because they are uninhabitable and because they are not very good a place. We make them green spaces, we sustain them, we will repaint the walls, change the seats, bring in sustainable cultural effects into the space, and then do a picture, photograph them, then mint these pictures on the blockchain. Now, the proceeds from that blockchain would come back, part of it, to the community as some proceeds that will be used to maintain that community or the space. So it's not a one-off thing. It's okay. So that's the idea of ArtStorm. We are basing this hoping that the power of non-fungible tokens, which is the NFTs we talked about, and the sale of it would help us sustain the project. So for that, we are running a collection of, I think, 30 artists or so. So the artists would pick spaces where they could collaborate to work and make this the painting or the murals on the wall. Then the photographer, each of the organization gets a deal, or more like a function of what they are expected to do. For us in Afrofuture, what we are doing is that we are developing a curriculum that we use to onboard these 30 artists. So remember, these artists do not understand blockchain. They do not understand Web3. And we want them to be able to be onboarded on the space. So we need to guide them on how Web3 functions, how to create a wallet, onboard them in everything concerning Web3, and then help them through all of this. Then it would help to also identify the appropriate platform where we have to put out, think of it like marketplace. So these NFTs and murals have been minted on the blockchain, but we also need to make sales from that so that the process from that would be used to maintain these urban green spaces, right? That would mean that we need to find best possible solutions. Where do we mint it? Gas fee is expensive. How do we manage it and make sure? Someone asked a question of how do we run around Ethereum and all of that? We'll come to that in a moment. So how do we mint it so it does not cost so much? And how do we make it so that people can easily buy them? If it's bought at a very good rate, 5 ETH, 10 ETH, whatever that price could be, the easier it will be to maintain more urban spaces. So we need the best deal possible. So Afrofuture is also going to help do that, upload the selected artworks and documentation of the minting and the sales, showing pieces sold, how much they were valued, the artists, and the dates these sales were made. So in all, we're going to be promoting ArtStorm, not just us, every other person within the crypto communities, within the crypto ecosystem, with one goal only. We sign in African non-Web3 artists on Web3. One, we're going to help them mint their pieces. Two, going to help them make the sales. And then we are mentoring them. So even after the sales is done and all of that, integration is also part of Web3. You bring people on, but you also need to help them stabilize, integrate them into the community so that they could feel that they belong to something where they are valued. So we mentor them all through, even when ArtStorm, this particular ArtStorm has come and gone, because we're looking at ArtStorm as a project that will be happening once a year or twice a year, or depending what, as the team would agree. So it's a sustainable collaborative project that will keep creating green spaces in urban areas all around Africa.
This is incredible. And one question I have just before you proceed, how do you, or are you going to operate outside of the political planning formal policy process? Or are you looking at ways to intersect with more political stakeholders?
Okay, so you remember that for each Safari and Afrofuture DAO, we are a DAO. That means we are operating away from all the regular structure hierarchy in the physical space. But PSN is operating in a physical space. Art Africa is also operating in a physical space. That's what makes this collaborative project really interesting. I remember one of those days we were talking about how do we sign the contract? How do we ensure that each team delivers? Because we are running two different structures and models. So we eventually found a way where everyone, was comfortable with. So the political structure we don't have, like Afrofuture DAO and Eat Safari do not have, PSN or Art Africa would provide and be the guide. So for Afrofuture, we are providing how these artists are onboarded, mentored, minted, and make their sales. For PSN that understand urban spaces and sustainable development, it will be easy for them to bring that on. So everyone is bringing what they could from their areas of strength. So are we going to operate within that? If need be, that we have to operate within the political circle or political stakeholders. I'm so sure PSN and Africa would always recommend, and whoever they recommend, so far the team is cool with that, we could go on with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So the idea of this ArtStorm event is to highlight the works of Africa, artists in Africa, and particularly as it concerns the urban landscape. Change the narrative, give it a beautiful look. I've always loved Nairobi, probably because it reminds a lot of liberal freedom, very expressive set of persons, unlike what you could find in West Africa. There's a whole, it has a different vibe. So yeah, that I can understand. Now, the idea also is to support the creation and preservation, maintenance of green spaces. I've explained this before. Now, apart from taking away the boundary of I'm an artist, I want my painting to be next to Michelangelo. I want people to come for, I want people to recognize that I'm putting in some value into the world. Most times the problem would be that you do not have the right contact, the right people, gallery, exhibition to help you make this. Blockchain destabilizes all of that. And in a circle and collaborative project like this, you have four people who are like huge, doing best in their areas. They could always help you get where you're headed. And that's why it's very interesting to see the amount of artists who are already indicating interests. And the team is already saving to make sure that it represents what we want them to represent, like the pieces, the spoken words, and all of that. Do they represent? Are they creating synergies between art and green spaces? People wouldn't understand, how do you use art, green space, blockchain, off-chain to create a story? There's a whole lot going on. So the guidance of all of this is that artists, creators, and everyone would be able to find a balanced space in doing all of these things. And then above all, the idea is that we should be able to promote the use of decentralized finance, that's DeFi, as a method of exchange economic value, and giving its prominence as a sustainable mechanism for financing the growth of arts and green spaces in Africa. There's a reason why some countries like Nigeria are too scared of blockchain, because it takes away the power the government hold on the people. There's a reason why it liberates you, right? So there's regenerative finance, there's decentralized finance. The central bank is not getting, they have no hold on you. So you sell your peer-to-peer on your wallet and the money comes to you. So the government is not regulating that. The government is not getting anything, and like nobody is cutting any of your things. You're making your sale and you're getting your money straight to you. So there's a lot of freedom around the blockchain, and this would help to institute that there's a possibility that DeFi, which is decentralized finance, could be used and not just enthroned as a strong economic exchanging value for Africa, especially when it comes to cases like we explained now. If we're going to like run this project with the government, what it would mean is government will set up a policy, government will set up a committee, the committee would meet people, they will now go through the pieces and they will come back. Like the bottlenecks and bureaucratic would stifle the idea and the artists before they even get to deliver it. But just look at it. All we're doing is sign on the artists, help them put out the pieces, make sale on the pieces, take back that which have been made and put it back into, so there's a cycle of sustainability that even when tomorrow I'm not with Afrofuture and any other person comes into this, they should be able to sustain it because there's already a laid down structure of how things were. And that's the beautiful thing about ArtStorm events and how blockchain is playing a role to it. Now, how will blockchain aspect of ArtStorm work? This was part of the questions I was asked. Think of it this way. If everything I've explained made sense to you, it would mean that ArtStorm is an event hinged on blockchain. The idea is that it has to be very sustainable and successful for that urban spaces in Africa to continue to exist. And we're talking 30 artists, which there's a possibility could be more, but these artists are not just artists. These artists are putting in their story. Just like when you see a piece, you could tell somehow how this person is feeling when they are brushing or when they're painting, maybe by the strokes of the brush. People are fascinated by this. Art is never devalued if you look at it like that. So the blockchain, it's helping these value sustain its value. And that would also what will sustain these green spaces in urban Africa, because there will always be artists, there will always be this partnership ArtStorm event happening, and then people are already going to be able to understand how these things work. Like people are going to be buying, and when they buy, the money, the proceeds goes back to the community to maintain this same space. So it becomes a cycle. Today you come out, you see a painting of Nelson Mandela, and it lasts for a quarter. And then someone come around and repaint that. Remember, these are murals, they're on the wall, beautiful. Someone changes that and then put a new picture, and then you'll love this new one because the photograph is made and is minted, and you just want to have that. And remember, what makes these things very, very, very valuable is they are NFTs. They are non-fungible tokens. There are no two of such kind. There's always one of it. So think of it like in the fashion world where you're thinking of couture. So this is handcrafted just for you. No one else has it anywhere in the world. It's not something you could say, let's exchange. So I'll give you my piece and you give me your piece, because my piece and your piece, even if they're from the same artist, are not valued the same. And that will bring us to the idea of understanding NFTs. So NFTs means non-fungible tokens. Like when I said non-fungible, it means it is unique. It can be replaced. It cannot be traded for another, like I explained earlier. And in this case, compare non-fungible and fungible. So when it's fungible, it means if I give you $1 as a loan, you could always give me back $1, right? So that's fungible. If I give you 1 ETH, you can always give me back 1 ETH. If I give you 10 blockchain, 10 Bitcoin, I beg your pardon, you can always give me back 10 Bitcoin. Like it's traded and it's interchangeable. It's as opposed to irreplaceable. If I give you, for instance, what I'm using now, it's one of our proof of attendance protocol. It's a POAP. There's only one of this. So what it would mean is that this POAP could be like, maybe we'll make 5 of them, or in the future, say 5 of them are the only ones available. If I give you this, you cannot give me this back because you do not have this POAP, this particular one. So fungible would mean that you can trade one for another, but non-fungible means you cannot trade it because there's just one of it anywhere. And that's what makes the value so wonderful. Yes.
On that note, what would prevent someone from minting another NFT? Like say you take a picture of the mural, mint the NFT in Ethereum. What prevents someone else from coming along with a camera, taking another picture and minting their own NFT?
Okay, so the idea of minting an NFT is you have to put proof, especially for a creator. If you're signing up as a creator, you need to put proof of ownership, right? And the proof of ownership, it's what makes it what it is. Think of NFTs as something you're putting out because you need to have a bragging rights. So the system is built in a way that there's only one of it. Okay, so you could take a picture. Okay, look at an instance. it's a picture, yes? So what stops someone from looking at the picture and then screenshotting them and saying, oh, I have the picture? You have the picture, right? Yes, but when we start, you know how art pieces are, which I want to authenticate it, would I find it in the, remember blockchain is about blocks, joined or endless chain, keep growing. So in that chain, if we put in your address and put in all of that, will it come out? If it's not coming out, that means that's fake and people would not buy it. Even before you register that, you have to put up proof of ownership that this is your work, originally yours.
So there's some information embedded in the
Yes.
in the NFT that makes it verifiable, unique, and then it what did you say? Authenticates.
Yeah, true. That's how it works. So talking about working, so you're welcome, sir. So NFT exists on a blockchain. We've explained that it's on chain, endless chain. These chains, each transaction you make, a block moves. So it's called blockchain because it is evenly distributed and connected all across so many computers, which is where the conversation of energy saving, kilowatts per hour that it consumes, because it has to go through a lot of computers that are interconnected, that like a lot of servers and evenly distributed. And that's where the amount of energy that is used in minting a piece comes in. So it exists on blockchain, which is a distributed public ledger that records all transactions. It would mean any transaction you and I have had, it's on that blockchain. So if you have a wallet, by the end of your wallet, by the right, you would see activity. If you click on the activity, you would see all the activities you've ever done, and every money you've received, the ones you've put out, the gas fee, and all of that. So the same way when you make a bank transaction, you have history. This is calculated and it's stated there, like everything you do is specifically on your activity. So question is, NFTs are typically held on Ethereum blockchain, although other blockchains as well support them. We'll get to meet other blockchain. So you have something like Polygon. You also have something like Portion, but Portion is running on Ethereum blockchain. So all of these things are how NFT works, because it's working on blocks and it's about the transactions and they all come together to work. Now, many questions people would ask is, what's the difference between an NFT and other cryptocurrencies? Have you thought about that? So how does it work like that and not work like this? Because as I explained earlier, they are fungible and non-fungible. Most cryptocurrencies are fungible. That's why if I send 1 Ether to you as loan, you would always send back 1 Ether to me, right? If I send you this and you don't have this, you can't send back this to me because this is also mine. And for you to claim a POAP, for instance, you have to put in your wallet address. So it's synced to your wallet address, and then the POAP is registered to you. It's yours. And just like we've established, these NFTs or collectibles, if you prefer, have a verifiable codes on them. And that's why the Ethereum miners, that's why when you're running these things, you pay gas fee. The gas fee is what is used for these Ethereum miners. That's the payment they get. So as much as many you can process at a time, the more gas fees you can make. So this is an example of a collector. So this is mine. Africa's foremost crypto artist. He's called Osinachi. He's he's the biggest in Africa as it's concerned when it comes to NFTs. He dropped he called the 1,000 faces. These are his faces, but there are 1,000 of them that do not look alike. Like you could look at these 3. They are all pieces, right? But none of them is alike, and none of them it's similar to the other. Like if we start taking out the characteristics and the codes that were used, so they're all unique. So you can only have one of each one. You can only have one of 0814. There's only one of it. You can only have one of 0748. You can only have one of 64. You cannot. So imagine 1,000 of these, and none of them, it's like the other. So you can't trade 814 for 0748 because there's a possibility that these two values do not have the same value, and these two are not same. Why so? It's, if you look at this, this is a piece, and this book is Things Fall Apart, the very first edition of Things Fall Apart by Chuni Achebe. And that makes this on its own bigger piece than this piece. Do you get? So there are characteristics of what makes each what it is. On a very good day, people could say, oh, I read Things Fall Apart. And you're like, which edition did you read? This is the very first edition. And that's what 0814 is like. And you could find another one with Things Fall Apart, but he won't be wearing a blue shirt. He might be wearing this native dress. You could find another one with Things Fall Apart. He might be wearing this and not this blue shirt. So you can't say because Things Fall Apart is on top of the faces, they are all valued equally. And then again, it's about how you place them. So on a very good day, because this is one collectible and somebody will like, oh, I prefer this to others, could you sell this? And then at that time, the floor price or bear market could be like 50 ETH. This could be your reserve price. At some other point, you want to sell this and you realize that the bear price has fallen to 35 ETH. Do you see? So there's also a difference between the value of this and the value of this. So you could only have one of this and not one of the other. Yeah, hello.
What is the marketplace? Where does the transaction occur?
Okay, so what is a marketplace, or is this, where does this transaction, this particular one?
Yeah, like is there a centralized, like for example, Facebook
Okay.
Marketplace has all these listings and you can negotiate price. Is there a centralized marketplace for this activity, or is that decentralized as well?
Everything is decentralized. The DAOs have their, like OpenSea. This is linked with OpenSea. So OpenSea has its own marketplace. Portion has its own marketplace. Portion would even tell you that when you put out something with them, when you mint and market with them, you get some 500 portions. Like that's the social token. And then you have there are lots of marketplaces and all decentralized. It's about the artists and what the artist is about. Like this one, this is Blueprint. So this Blueprint was run in collaboration with him and Osinachi, or rather the DAO and Osinachi. So it's Blueprint limited editions in collaboration with Osinachi. So in this case, he rolled out all of these pieces at 0.1 ETH, all of them. So if you want to collect, you're collecting 1 ETH, 0.1, like all of them, 1,000 of them, then people are picking. So when the artist is minting, part of the things they take into cognizance is which marketplace gives you better deal. Portion would tell you that when you sell after your secondary sale, okay, after your primary sale, I beg your pardon, your secondary sale, people get 10%. Portion will give you 11%. Some other people will give you 5%. So it's about you as a creator or as a creative. You're looking for the markets that will give you the best value for your piece. You go with it. All right. So when we talk about collectibles now, so collectibles could include things like this. This is a POAP. So it's a proof of attendance protocol. For instance, if we decide at the end of this class that everyone that attended gets a POAP, so it will be like, thank you for coming and you attended. I think we should do it. And you should, everyone gets this everyone gets this collectible. So in the past, we've also had this. If you look at this pieces now, they're all different. You can't have this and this are not same. These are, none of them is same. So each is unique in its own rights. And that's what makes it very interesting. Then this is also from Osinachi. It was auctioned off at Christie, London, sometime last year or early this year. Can't remember. The man in the pool. So these are pieces, and what makes it what it is the bragging rights. You could say, oh, I own Osinachi's 5 pieces, and he's Africa's foremost artist, like Africa's foremost NFT artist, and that places him way, and his pieces sell off like that, and he's had exhibitions all over, from Dubai to New York to London. So his pieces are rare collectibles as it is. But all of these are all NFTs, meaning at some day you could decide to trade this. Trade in the way that you want to sell it, because you've held it. It's just like, imagine having a piece of Michelangelo in, one of his pieces in your home, and one day you felt like, you know what, I want to sell this, and then you sell it, and then you're paid for it. Now, the difference between physical and the blockchain space is, as an artist, when you create something that is listed on your name, each time your piece is resold in the secondary market, you still get a percentage of that. Like, you get a percentage of the sale for perpetuity. So unlike what it's found in the physical space, where you sell one piece and whoever that owns it pays you right out and then goes with the piece. Anybody he sells it to, it does not come back to you. It's just one way. So those are basics and differences. How is NFT different from other type of cryptocurrency? We've explained this, but if anyone still do not understand, I can explain it again. We remember fungible, non-fungible.
Thanks. I think it's clear. Does anyone need further discussion on that? Yeah, I think we're good.
Awesome. So these are your questions you sent across. I picked 6 of them. I think I've answered some. And yeah. Oh boy, yeah. Let me see if we could exhaust this in 15 minutes and then open up for your more questions before we go. All right. Have you done this before? Okay. Speaking to university students, no. Have I done this before yet? I've talked to artists that we onboard every now and then, commission the artists and community people, walk them through what is and how this is done, but never to university students. And so it's also my first time. For the market, who do you think the market is for? Like, with everything I've explained, who do you think would be collecting NFTs? It as a collectible. And bear in mind, we're talking about music, we're talking about spoken word, we're talking about POAP, we're talking about pictures, and NFTs, wearables. So people do wearables. They make a piece and then they animate it. And when you buy the piece on blockchain, they also send you the physical. Yeah, it works. And some people are, for artists and painting, they do that same, but the cost of delivery is borne by the collector. Otherwise, it's about certificates, which is what blockchain is about. So if I go through the blockchain list, I should be able to find that you own this, and this is you. It's the bragging rights. I own this, and it's on the chain that makes it what it is. That makes the value worth talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
that seems really exciting and clear. So you think your market is probably also other artists?
Yes. I remember the Osinachi's pieces. I'm using him as an example because he was the foremost, and he's also a close friend. So those days would laugh when he make those pieces. I'm like, what are you making? You know. So most of these pieces were collected by non-Africans. Many of them were collected by non-Africans, and I also remember during the last commissioned artist that we had at Afro Feature, one of the commissioned artists didn't really, he wasn't so happy that his pieces were not collected by an African. So he went back to go and mint more works, and specifically placing that you've got to be an African home, because he wanted it to be an African preservation and African story owned by an African. So anyone can own. The market is big. So you could have art collectors and enthusiasts. They just want to have a piece of that. They want to own it. They could collect it. So far, the person beats your listing price, or if the auction has started and the person bid and the bidding sounded right or favored him, he's collecting it. It is not about no, you cannot. It's on the chain, and once you've listed it, you are going to be able to find a seller. It's going to take a time, but when it happens, it happens. So many artists collect other artists' work where they feel this other artist has more value, or the collectibles, as we call it, have more value and could in the future be more. So they could collect it and keep. Think of it this way: many people are keeping the NFT as a medium of value. So they are collecting them to the same thing people did with gold. And in fact, that's actually how people got interested in Bitcoin, because it was about, I don't want to do bank. I'm not interested in the banking sector. There's so much bureaucratic setting. So let me move all my money into gold or into Bitcoin. Someday I wake up and say, oh, I need 10,000. What do I do? Let me go sell this off and then get some money and solve the problem I need it for right now. So it was a medium of value and storage for people. And that's exactly what people are beginning to do with NFTs. People are beginning to invest and keep it for as something they're going to keep for themselves or for children as an investment, or so to say. One question I have is what platform they're going to use for the NFTs, since Ethereum traditionally has transaction fees. Would any other blockchain platform suit better for their needs? Okay, so to understand this, I talked a bit about platform, Ethereum, and all of it. I didn't go deep to the fees. Think of it this way. So traditionally, like I explained, where the Ethereum miners get paid by the gas fees that you're putting out, right? Now, the idea is that when discussing transaction fees, you pay for gas fees a lot on NFT for NFTs. These gas fees are weighed in query, that's GWEI, and it's like 0.00000001 ETH. Some days it's like $15. Some other time it could be $11. At some point it could be $50. So there's no specific time about it. But for these two, for us, you're asking other platform we're interested in using. We are looking at Polygon. Polygon is cheaper. That the Polygon team released a version of its NFT minter that lets anyone create NFTs with custom utilities. Not just that, there are no fees, because it allows you to mint without any gas fee. And that's what a lot of persons were interested in. So we are weighing that option as an option. We might tow, even if it is no longer free, then it could be lesser to compare what the gas fees were costing. And if you're, depending where you're minting as well, if you're minting on Portion would say you mint with them and they give you 500 Portion tokens. And OpenSea also supports, when you're minting across multiple blockchains, but you would also need to pay for gas fee. But Polygon's marketplace allows you to create and sell your NFT without paying any gas fee. Like the gas fee, no gas fee is needed, no ETH is needed. Just come as you are. So like I said, it's an option we are looking at that could work. But then again, you're also looking, the idea why people always go back to Ethereum is because it's main network and it's popular, it's listed, it has a value. So it's easy to find pieces, and most marketplaces utilize that a lot for their listings. For instance, in OpenSea, you have to pay gas fee to mint, you have to pay gas fee to list, you have to pay gas fee if you want to start off an auction. So these gas fees are all what people are trying to avoid, and when they're trying to do that, Polygon becomes an option. What does the appearance of NFT? How does the appearance of NFT impact cryptocurrency? Now, for this, I would say, does it impact? Think of it this way. You know how people study cryptocurrency and NFTs? It's just like you're studying non-fungible and fungible. So what happens in NFT market does not directly affect the cryptocurrency market because they're operating on two different codes, ERC21 and ERC20. So they're all operating differently, and this is non-fungible while this is fungible. So it has little or no effects on, in a meaningful way, on the other. Eventually, will all NFTs become worthless when it's no longer popular like it is now? Okay, so look at it this way. Worthless? No. Drop in value? No. So a lot of people collect NFTs as store value. Since NFTs are non-fungible, that would mean it cannot function as medium of exchange. It cannot function as a unit of account, and it cannot as well be used as a standard of deferred payments. But it can be used as a store of value. So I have some money and I'm looking for a way to store that. So would that in any way make them worthless? It will not. In fact, we're looking at in the future, NFTs will become so big that people would physically in the sense that everyone will want to have a piece and start moving their money into it because they want to preserve some resources at home. So use that all and buy one piece and just keep it. I wonder how large the environmental impacts of using blockchain are and how it is a preferable, sustainable way of financing community development, social. Okay. So I will try to answer this in two ways. It's been argued that most well-known implication of blockchain technology happens because a lot of people, because of energy. I explained a bit of this earlier. Because of energy and because you're talking about systems interconnected, evenly distributed, processing all at the same time. So we're talking about energy, speed. And if that is the case, a lot of people feel that the kilometer per hour, it's going to be very expensive, and that would also affect the environment. So its possible negative impact on climate has never been underutilized or under talked about or underemphasized. But there is a way people have come, people like Devarit said that it will require a high amount of processing power, but also to be able to put out this, the wider use of the blockchain technology is relying. Remember when I said that no DAO can do it all? So DAOs are relying on other DAOs to provide solutions to issues generated by the other DAO. So there is an organization, a DAO called, organization if you prefer, Green Revolution Cooling, GRC. So what they are doing is that on the consumption side, they are putting out that there is a way you could minimize the hotness or the utilization of the energy because the cooling system that they're putting out is more environmental friendly. Now, what this could do is that you can run the processor intensive calculations for blockchain in their tool, like in their GRC HRC. So what it means is that what could have cost or consumed 10,000 kilometers per hour, when you run that on their system, it might end up consuming like 2,000, 3,000. And that's energy consumption. And that would also reduce, the power. Then again, it is very, very environmental friendly, thereby cutting in 90% out of the energy consumption that would have used to process one or mint one NFT. So many other DAOs are looking at that as well, like regeneration and regenerative economy. So things like this can always find a way. So while blockchain applications like cryptocurrencies and digital assets, people are thinking it's increased the demand for data centers. GLC is saying we are offering you the technology with the expertise to help manage the cooling demands. So think of hotness and coolness. So the energy is very hot. GRC is providing you with the cooling system that would match that same energy and cut that energy from 100 to 90%, like cut off 90% of energy that you would have used, leaving you with 10%. So it would have, if it would have cost like 10,000 kilometers per hour, it would come down to kilowatts per hour, I beg your pardon. It will come down to the 10% of 10,000 will be lesser than what it would be. So that's cool, right? So that's where we are now. And that's many DAOs are still working on regenerative products and regenerative economy and how that would fit into every scheme of thing.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm afraid we've lost some of our audience due to timing, but this has been incredibly informative. And as someone that does not know a lot about this space, it's been really educational for me as well. My only question that I'm left with at this point is, the testing or the piloting of it in actual space and how that's going to work out in terms of, affecting communities and addressing climate change and other issues at the local level. But I feel it's brilliant. And so maybe just in the interest of time, is there any student that has one final question for our guest? And then I would just like to know, do you think it will be piloted first, or is it just the full-on 30 artist launch?
Okay, so before Afrofuture came on, I think the partners were carefully selected, were rather reached out to because of the work they are doing. Mm-hmm. Like I explained in my introduction, we've commissioned 15 artists, like 3/4, 5 artists, 5 artists. So we've had the experience of onboarding them, mentoring them, and helping them prosper in the community. So I'm going to be speaking with the artists as part of the onboarding session. The idea is the same. Let's get a feel of what they know, what they would want to know. That's part of our onboarding session. And also get to guide them through. Many of them do not remember they're in Web 2. They don't even understand blockchain wallet. They don't even know how to open a wallet. So all of these things are what we're going to be doing. It's a series of workshops, and then the mentoring begins. And then the end is with the minting. And then there's a space where they either want to mint with Afrofuture, or they could go to somewhere else and mint. And the beautiful thing about minting is you could, from the get-go, if you're minting on Foundation, you could split, say for instance, 4 of us, Claire, Bernadette, you and I worked on a project, right? And we are going to list that on Foundation. What we could do is that we list all our wallet addresses and put in the percentage, we call it split. So put in the percentage, each time a sale is made that we collaborated on, the proceeds would individually, automatically come to our wallets. And when the secondary sale is made again, depending on the percentage of what we've put in, it will still come back to all of us. So in perpetuity, once you've listed and minted and set up your splits like that, that's what works. So for the artist, I think I can't say it could be more than 30. That's why the conversation I'm going to have with them, becomes part of the key idea of what can be done. But what with the resources we had, we've planned for 30. If it's less, we can accommodate. If it's higher, we can expand to accommodate them.
Okay, and what I think maybe, in our small way as a class is telling the story on the community side. So the impacts on community in terms of green spaces. So that connection link, because it is understood at the community level, is probably one area of value adding. And we've also applied for some funding to kind of measure the impact of those spaces. And if we're successful there, like looking at climate differences and how the spaces are used. So a lot of the work the class is going to do is focusing more on policy and research and best practices, but more on the space side, how to value those spaces within the context of community. But this information is really exciting, and I'd really like to figure out how to become involved on a personal level. So, but that is not a course requirement. So thank you so much for taking time today. And I know we'll be in conversation and hopefully to see you in Nairobi in the fall, in our fall.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool. And for anyone, you could always reach out. There's a lot we can do. I believe in the power of collaborative economics that Web3 provides us. I believe when we talk about funding, there's Gitcoin grants that runs there's always Gitcoin rounds. And before Afro Feature, I worked with Moon Jelly, which was about marine preservation and ocean conservation, and I helped them set up their comms and strategy. Point is, there are DAOs that are doing something you are very passionate about. You just need to look out for them and find that. So anything, it's possible. It's about the passion, and it's about making sure you fit into the right space. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for having me on this platform. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's an honor and privilege, and have a great rest of your evening, and we'll be in communication. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time today too to be here.
Thank you.